This episode brought to you by the flu. Do you want a sore throat and a slightly runny nose? Do you want fever and body aches? Do you want to be tired for no reason at all? Well, how about you try the flu? Are you wanting to shut up somebody who just talks all the time? Why not give them the flu? Have you always wanted to drink copious amounts of tea just to survive? Well, then you need to try the flu. And you can get the next flu free on me. Just come on over to Hannah the Human, and I'll cough in your face, and then you'll get the flu for free on me. That's the flu with Hannah the Human.
Let's hit that theme song. Oh, nice. We're going for like existential vibes. Hannah the Human. I can get down with it. Get down with it. Get down with it.
Here we are this week, and I have a guest, which is so handy because my throat isn't doing so well. So let's all just give a round of applause for my friend and my first interviewee, Mimi Johnson. Actually, isn't your name something else?
Well, Mimi Johnson was good. That's what everybody here knows me.
Okay, Mimi Johnson.
Hi. This is so cool. I've never been on a podcast before.
Yeah. It's a good thing I'm going to get famous so you can be on podcasts more often.
No, everybody's going to listen. My grandma's going to listen. My aunt, uncle, everybody's going to listen.
Wow, I really better watch what I was really tempted to just say some really inappropriate stuff.
No.
But I refrained. I think my grandma listened to the first episode, but I don't know that she listens to the other ones. I don't know that either of my grandmas do. I do have a few faithful fans. I don't even know if you listen to my podcast, Mimi.
I do. I listen to your podcast every week. Girl!
Every week?
What?
She's offended.
I'm offended.
I have a few really, really good fans. One of them, as we just discovered, is Mimi. She listens to every podcast. Duh, of course. I also have Travis. I want to shout out Travis, my friend and coworker. He tells me every week, actually multiple times every week, how awesome my podcast is. I want to shout out Tina. We love you, Tina, in Santa Rosa, California. You know who you are. She listens, and she'll text me just about every week and be like, wow, what a great episode. Yeah, and she shares it with her friends and stuff. I don't know if they listen, but Tina listens.
But Tina listens.
Yes. But, Mimi, we're not here just to talk about my fans, even though we could go on and on all day. Mimi, first off, just give a brief overview, like, where do you live? How old are you? You know, what are some things about you so people can start getting to know the great Mimi?
Sure. Okay, I live in California. I won't say specifically where, but I live in like the mountains near Yosemite National Park.
She lives on top of Half Dome.
Yeah, right. Right on top. That's where my house is. No, I don't. But I'm pretty close. I want to do the Half Dome hike eventually. I am 17, almost 18 years old. I turn 18 next week.
Whoop, whoop.
Let's see. I have like a bunch of hobbies. I love art. I love singing. I love acting. I love fashion. I love food. I love Jesus. I love lots of things. And yeah, Hannah and we've been friends for 5 years now.
Wow.
Is a long
5
time.
blissful years.
5 wonderful years. This podcast is just going to be filled with us like giggling the whole time. Actually, I don't know. I've got like a lot of serious things to like.
I know. We're going to get serious.
We are going to get serious here in a minute. But I don't know. Is that like a pretty good introduction? I have.
That's good.
I'll just briefly speak about
Yeah.
my family real quick. I live with my mom, my dad, and my sister, who I could not live without my sister. And I have a cat. That is my cat. Well, we have multiple other animals, but I have a cat. That's mine. So there you go.
And your cat's name is?
Katniss. If you know where
Because-
that's from, we can be friends.
And before I was friends with Mimi, I did not know where that was from. But now I know it's from the Hunger Games.
Now she knows. Yeah,
Well-
I made her watch the movies and read the books.
Yes. But I have not read the Snakes and Songbird book because I didn't really like the movie.
Which we're working on her.
Although I'm sure the book would be better. But anyway.
Anyway.
So one thing I just want to let everybody know is Mimi is great at singing, at acting,
You're sweet.
and painting, like for real. She's just really talented. And yeah, so that's a cool thing about Mimi. She also loves like Marvel and just she loves movies, you know? So we talk about those a lot. We talk about art. We talk about like faith and stuff and how to have friends, how to love our parents.
Everything and anything under the sun.
Mm-hmm. But we really, so I'll just share how we met. We met because I was doing the Lord's work, serving
Okay.
as a youth leader at a church in Vacaville, California, that Mimi and her sister started going to on Wednesday nights. Basically, the setup was like there were tons of people. We'd all meet in a big room, have worship, and then we'd break off into our little groups. And so Mimi got put in my little group. Were you just randomly assigned, or?
I think I was. I think the main leader lady, she was like, "Oh, you should be in Hannah's group. She's the coolest. You'll love her." So yeah, I was kind of like just randomly put into your group. But you know, you were super helpful in my life, and like I needed you, so it was all preordained.
What do you feel about you and I caused us to connect?
I think, that's a good question. We got each other on levels that I think not many people would have at the time that I was going through. You were so important to me at that time because I really needed somebody that I could just go to and who could just be my friend, and who would just be like so into whatever I was doing in my life. And you did such a good job at that, and like it was and it was so, I think, one, timely because of all of the stuff that I was going through. I was going to use a different word, but stuff that I was going through. And that will come into a little bit later in the story when Hannah comes in. But yeah, I think that was it. And then like you were just so good at what you were doing. You were just such a good role model. Like you would do the piano on the stage. You were a great singer. You write music. You like were just so cool that I was like, I'm like so amazed that I know this person. Like what?
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, so there was that. And then I think, over time we kind of just realized, oh my gosh, this person is, it's like that C.S. Lewis quote that's like, friendship is like when you realize, oh, this person is like me, and you're like, oh, you do this too, or you have this too, or you know this too. And so I think that really allowed us to click, like our maybe not similar life experience, but we both experienced similar things in our lives and our journeys. And I think I think that really helped us.
Yeah.
Oh, I love hearing this. I'm incredible.
No, you are. I try to tell you as often as I can.
It's really cool hearing you say that because there were a lot of times I didn't want to keep doing the youth thing. I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. And then looking back in my life, there's a lot of times where I question, like, was I really doing that, like, out of just genuinely doing it? Or was I doing it trying to, be a good person or earn respect from the pastor people or whatever. So it's cool just to hear you share all that, and it gives me a different perspective of just kind of the impact I was making by just showing up on Wednesday and trying to be myself. So thanks for sharing that, and I love it. Well, Mimi, the people, aka me, really want to hear about your life. We really want to hear about your story, because Mimi has lived a wild life, folks. Her life may be small in numbers, but it is not small in experiences.
That's really good.
That's gonna make me cough. Thank you, flu. So, Mimi, when you were thinking back on your life, what are a few things that stand out about like your story or who you are, or
Gosh, that's a good question.
well, just like when you think about your life, like what are the impressions that you get? Like when you start thinking over, are you like, wow, I'm amazing, or like, wow, I had to go through a ton of bad stuff?
I think the second one. The second one. I had to go through a lot of crap.
Yes.
I was actually thinking about this when going over my like life story, and I was like, yeah, this happened, this bad thing happened, this bad thing happened, this bad thing happened, and then this good thing happened, and then this bad thing happened. And I think the good thing really has been my constant relationship with Jesus and how that's like grown. And so I think when we were first talking about this, we were like, oh, let's tell my life story, but what do you want to like focus on? Because we could talk about school, we could talk about relationships, we could talk about Jesus, we could talk about family, we could talk about literally all things, because there's so much. But I think just mainly focusing on the life story might be like, it might cover a lot of bases.
Well, I actually have a question on that. You mentioned like what stands out in your life so far is that you've had to go through a lot of tough things, and that you mentioned your relationship with Jesus as being a constant. What is that? How did that start? Who is Jesus to you? How'd you meet him? Were you like 3 years old sitting on the toilet just singing hymns?
No, but maybe actually, I don't know.
You're like, I can't remember. Those 3-year-old years are... Honestly, that sounds like something I would have done at 3 years old.
Well, okay, I've always known him. I grew up in a Christian household, which that has a lot of definitions, but I will just go with my mom, told me about Jesus. Jesus has always been a part of my life since I was born. We've always been a part of a church. And when I say like, oh, my relationship with Jesus is a constant, I mean that in that like he was constant even when I didn't choose him necessarily as my Lord and Savior, my best friend, I know you're my best friend, but like my holy Jesus best friend. But but yeah, so he's always been there, and I think what's cool is that throughout all this hardship and crap that we're gonna talk about and like go through, he eventually became what I chose. I didn't like, it wasn't just something that was chosen for me. Like Jesus was always going to be there. My parents' faith, my mom's belief, it was eventually became like, okay, well, I choose this guy Jesus. I think he's cool. I want to follow him. I want to live how he lived, give my life to him, all of the church Christian work. But like I guess the gist of it is I decided eventually for myself that I wanted this relationship with this guy, Jesus, who I believe is Savior of the world.
How you said like, oh, well, I've always known him. That makes sense for people who are just like, I don't know, born into Christianity and that's just the language you use. But when you actually think about it, it's like, how in the world can you know a dead guy from 0 AD? So what does that mean for you? Like, how was it introduced? Was it just like a concept when you're little, like, oh, reading Bible stories and like, this is Jesus? Was it a presence or a person or a encounter you had or a spiritual experience?
Well, as a little kid, my mom, she is like the main one who held on to the faith and made sure that we had it in us. We obviously, we went to Bible school, we went to churches. We were those kids at the church that would be running around and like really distracting during worship time when people were like, "Oh, Jesus," we were like, "I'm gonna get you," and we would like chase around. We would be around the church and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Like that was us. Like that was me and Shiloh. And every night my mom would read us Proverbs. We would watch Veggie Tales. If you know what if people know what Veggie Tales is, you're a real one, man. Veggie Tales is the best. I watch it today. So that's what I mean in that, like, he's always been around. And like I said, my mom, she always made sure we had Bibles. We had the picture Bibles. We had these really cool Bibles that were drawn by these amazing artists of these, scenes in the Bible. And my aunt and my uncle are pastors, so like it's in the family kind of thing. But I think when it comes into my life stories, when I was really like going through the worst, I think of it. Well, I think most of the worst, and I was like, I don't remember specifically the age or the time, but I do remember at one point I was like, Jesus, if I can't do this by myself, and eventually I had to be like, I need you more than I need my mother's faith. I need you more than I Veggie Tales or all of these just childhood Christian things. I need actual you, and that's when it started. So I think, I don't know. Does that answer your question well enough?
Yeah, no, that's good. It's kind of like it's this character, that you're taught about, this guy who came and lived his life to love, this guy who claimed to be God, who, you're raised and taught this is God, this is how Jesus treats us, he came and saved us. And so you're just like, yeah, cool, boom, I believe that. That's great. And then life happens, and then you actually are like, wait, if you're actually that, if like Jesus, you actually exist, then show up and help me. And then you've received help, you've, received strength that you can't explain on your own, and you're like, okay, I guess Jesus showed up. Like, I guess it's just more than stuff you read in a book. It's actual personal experience.
Yeah.
I know, like, for me, it's because I was thinking, how would I answer that question, if somebody asked that to me? And I've always wanted some spiritual experience, like suddenly the sky started glowing, or I heard an audible voice and fell over or something. Like, I wanted some proof of like, this is real. And I haven't ever got that, but I've had like lots of moments of being connected to a being outside myself. And when I read about in the Bible about the character of Jesus and who he is, it's like, yeah, that's exactly the person that I know to be true, that I've encountered in these moments of great need. So, yeah, I can relate with you on that. Okay, so Mimi, you were born, obviously, almost 18 years ago. What state were you born? Was it Florida?
Yeah, I was born in Florida, South Florida.
South Florida. Born in South Florida. I'm assuming at a hospital?
Yeah. I don't remember the exact hospital. I don't remember that much.
Mimi, I can't believe you don't remember the hospital you were born in. Come on, girl.
For the human race.
So you were born.
Yes.
And then how long did you stay in South Florida?
Well, I was born in South Florida. My sister was born in South Florida 2 years after me. And then, oh gosh, how long did we stay in South Florida? Well, okay, my biological dad left when I was 4. My mom met.
And this was in South Florida, right? So you guys,
Yeah.
okay, you all stayed there. Your biological dad left.
Yeah, in North. They divorced. And then mother.
I didn't realize you were so young.
Yeah.
Aww.
I was so young, but I remember like everything.
Is this when like Jesus had to become real to you?
Not this yet.
Because I was gonna say like that's pretty advanced thought for a 4-year-old.
Yeah, no. No, I didn't. I was like, did it? No, it didn't happen. I know 4-year-olds, and they're no, but I do. I do remember, lots of things from being 4 because I think trauma makes you remember things you wouldn't remember. But anyway, my biological dad divorced my mom when I was 4, and then my mom met my actual dad, my stepdad, my actual dad, when I was 5. And I don't know if we should tell their story because.
No, we won't. Someday I need to get them on my podcast for real. Their love story is so cute.
They are. I love them.
So back to Mimi's story. So you're still in Florida and you're 5 years old and your mom meets your current dad, your actual dad, as you say.
Yeah, she met him. And we were in Florida, and it was hard after the divorce. We were, food stamps. It was hard. My mom couldn't really get a job because she had 2 young children.
And do you remember this? Like, do you remember it being hard and all that?
Oh yeah, no, I do remember. I remember, one story in particular that my grandma, thank God we lived so close to her. She would bring like a grocery bag of like Whole Foods groceries whenever she would go, and we would always have like, he would always bring it, and then she would never like come and visit. She'd just knock on the door and leave real quick, and then we'd like open the door and thered be a surprise grocery bag of food. Yeah, no, it was really sweet. And when I say food stamps, I don't mean like we were like struggling. I mean like God always provided, obviously, but we were, we were still not 100% all the time. We weren't definitely what we're at now. So anyway, I do remember a lot of that. We were in this, when my biological dad left, we were in this townhouse, and we had to move out of there because my mom couldn't pay for the mortgage. And so we moved to this apartment near my grandparents. And then from Florida, there's a lot of little stories from Florida that I could like say, but I mean, I don't know if we have time for all that because my story's kind of long. But the one about the grandma is cute. So
yeah, tell the one about your grandma.
Well, that one, the one that she would bring us stuff. I also remember every weekend, at least with my grandma, we would always go over to her house every weekend. We would sleep over at her house, and then we would wake up maybe Sunday morning or Saturday morning, and my grandpa, he would make oatmeal, like so much oatmeal in these like giant metal tins, and then he would give us a square of oatmeal, and always watch Pink Panther. Always, every single morning with my grandpa, we'd all sit on the couch with our little bowls of oatmeal. And it was like the sweetest oatmeal ever. It had like sweetened condensed milk or something. It was delicious.
Nice.
Yeah, because I've had some oatmeal that did not make you want to eat it. So
no, he wouldn't. Yeah. No. Anyway, so that's one of the cute little stories that's one of the happier stories for. So nice. I do remember some good things about Florida. But yeah, so we were in Florida for a good long while, and then when I was 7, we moved to Atlanta because my mom got a job at the church that my aunt and uncle were helping pastor. It's a big mega church in Atlanta. It's called Mount Heron.
What was the job that your mom got?
So my aunt and uncle, they were the youth pastors, but then there was the children's pastor that was their friend, and he needed an assistant who would set up meetings and all those sorts of things. And, send out birthday cards and stuff. So she did that job, and it was a good job. It was fun. We, that was another place where Shiloh and I, every Sunday we would get there 2 hours before everybody, and we would leave 2 hours after everybody. and we'd be running around and doing all the fun things, and it was great. We were like the, stray cats of the church. It was great.
Nice.
So I definitely do remember that. It was really fun. It wasn't, necessarily fun living in Atlanta. We were kind of far away from grandparents, but yeah, that was for a little.
Wait, so how long did you live in Atlanta?
Maybe about a year, I want to say.
A year? Okay.
Because in that time, my dad now, he asked my mother to marry him, and that we can go into that story. They can do that story because it's anyway. Then when I was 8, I moved across the country to California. We drove, which was so much fun.
How long did it take you to drive?
It took us, I think, a week. I want to say either a week or a little more than a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember specifically, like, Texas took 2 days. We went through, like, a couple of the littler states, like Mississippi and, like, Arkansas. Arkansas is down there, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Arkansas is
Okay, thank
in
God.
between Georgia and California.
Anyway, but we did, like, it was the coolest trip because, like, we went over the Mississippi River, but that was kind of, like, anticlimactic because we were just driving over it, and Mom was like, oh, there's the Mississippi River, and we were like, okay. And it wasn't, like, that interesting. But we went to Texas, we went through Texas, and then we went to the Grand Canyon, which was pretty, it was underwhelming, but maybe just because, like, I wasn't.
What was your experience you were 8, right?
I was 8, yeah.
As an 8-year-old, what was your experience of the Grand Canyon like?
I thought it was dumb. I didn't.
That's exactly my experience when I was 7, 8 years old. My parents were like, wow, isn't this amazing? And I was like, it's cold. And like, okay, is this all? And then I went back to the Grand Canyon a few years ago as an adult, and I was like, wow.
See, maybe I just need to go back.
Yeah, literally, it's incredible. And this is wild. We need to interview other people who visited the Grand Canyon as 7 or 8-year-olds and get their take.
Yeah.
This
It was just like, I don't know. It was so underwhelming. It was like all these people said all these amazing things about the Grand Canyon, and it was just like, whatever. So, yeah, and then we made it to California. My parents got married, and it was really cute. They got married in Glacier Point. I will say that part because
in Yosemite.
Yes. And then literally how it happened was they got married. We're in this little teeny tiny apartment, and the way that the divorce worked was that my biological dad would get summer and 2, I think, holiday weeks or whatever during the year, or 1 holiday week, I don't remember. But anyway, my parents now got married in Glacier Point, and then we got home. They had their honeymoon, we got home, blah blah blah. And then literally, like, I think it was like a week or 2 after they got married, Shiloh and I had to be on a plane to fly back to Atlanta to go visit our dad for 2 months, our biological dad for 2 months. And yeah, so that was by ourselves. We were 2 little childrens on a plane all by ourselves.
Oh,
I know. It's kind of crazy because I look at kids that were my age when I started flying, and I'm like, you could never be able to fly by yourselves. And I'm like,
how did you? I'm really curious about this logistics here. How, as a 8 and 6-year-old, did you fly by yourself? Did you have an attendant person?
huh? Say that again?
Did you have like a flight attendant?
Yeah. So what happened was we flew a lot with Southwest. Shout out to Southwest.
I do love Southwest. Love those free checked on baggage.
I know, they're so good. Anyway, so we fly with Southwest. So what would happen would be my mom would obviously drive us to the airport. She could go through checking, and she could take us all the way to the gate. And then a flight attendant would be on the plane. They would take us from the gate. We would obviously hug, tears, blah blah. And we had to sit in the very front of the plane.
nice.
like we were, I don't know, first class or something. Southwest doesn't do first class, but we were we were front of the plane. And it was so this flight attendant, obviously they had to do their work, but we would be the front of the plane. There, we usually wouldn't get somebody sitting with us. It would just be Shiloh and I, and then nobody would sit in between us or next to us. And this flight attendant would just, check on us periodically. We obviously had nowhere to go. We were laying in the sky. But this flight attendant, they give us extra snacks. They give us extra drinks. But yeah, they would just check on us. And then once...
What did you guys do on the plane as little kids?
We brought so much stuff. We would bring Uno. So we played thousands of rounds of Uno. We would watch movies, listen to music. We would color, at least when we were younger, we would do these sorts of, coloring, puzzles, things like that. Anyway, so it was 6 or 7 hours, something like that. It's a long flight.
Because was it a straight through flight? You didn't do any layovers?
There couldn't
be. Yeah, because I'm like, if there were layovers, that would have lost you guys.
Yeah, we couldn't. Yeah, no.
And did you guys have checked baggage or just carry-ons?
No, we'd have checked bags. And
did you have any carry-ons or just like your own personal little backpacks?
No, yeah, we just had backpacks. We wouldn't have carry-ons.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we'd get there, and the flight attendant would bring us to the gate, and our biological dad would come and pick us up, and he had to show.
So they would let your parents, even though they weren't flying, go through TSA and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They were allowed to go through TSA because if not, then obviously we'd get lost in the airport.
Yes.
So.
I mean, I'm an adult and I get lost in the airport.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, he would pick us up there, and then we would all go to the baggage claim. And anyway, so
this is too cute. I'm just imagining little baby Mimi, little baby Shiloh playing Uno in the plane.
It was so fun. Sometimes the flight attendant would play.
Did you have glasses back then?
No, I did not have glasses back then.
Oh, you didn't have any cute little glasses, but Shiloh had her cute little curly hair.
She did. She was every time we would go flying, the flight attendants would always compliment her on her curly hair. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you have the cutest hair. You're the cutest little child ever." I'm like, oh. Anyway, but it is cute. I do love her. So I would really be in charge on these flights because I'm the oldest.
Yeah.
I'm in, Shiloh was 6. She really wouldn't. She was. 6-year-olds. They're
Yeah.
They don't know what
they're. Plus, whoever is oldest just takes on that responsibility,
Yeah, definitely.
So that the younger sibling doesn't use any of their brain cells.
Pretty much. No, Shiloh was good. She was good. She'd listen to what I would say. I would be the in charge figure.
Yep.
She'd listen until she got a little older, and then she would.
The all wise, mighty 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure though as she got a little older, that 2-year age gap didn't mean so much anymore, and suddenly she's like, you know what, Mimi, I'm as old as you when you were telling me what to do, so
yeah. So
no. But anyway, back to you. You would get to the baggage claim, and then you would get your baggage and whatever. And where did you fly to visit your biological dad? Was it back in Atlanta?
Yeah, at the time he still lived in Atlanta.
Wait, but he divorced your mom in Florida.
Yes, but then when we moved to Atlanta, he moved to follow us and be with us.
Oh, because at that time, did you still regularly see your biological dad?
We would see him. I think he got some weekends sometimes, and I don't remember exactly how often we would.
So did he move to be close to you guys?
Yeah, he moved to be close to us, and then we could still see him. I know
But California was too far of a move.
Yeah, no, he was not going to move to California. That was not going to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, because California is so far away, and anyway, he had all this. Anyway, so yeah, we were flying when I was 8, and then we flew by ourselves for 5 years. Yeah, as we got older, it was. We love flying. We still love flying. Every time we get to fly a Challenger, I was like, yes, this is so much fun. So we definitely do love flying. But yeah, as we got older, it got it got kind of old. And so for the last 2 years of our flying, so for 3 years we would fly to Atlanta, and then for the last 2 years, my biological dad moved to Chicago, and so we would fly to Chicago. And just like side note, Chicago is like the best city ever. I didn't love where I was like staying, but I loved Chicago.
What did you like about Chicago?
It felt like it felt like what I imagined New York to be like, but like I don't know, cooler or just like slower and cleaner, and it was just so pretty with the river and the city nightlife. It was just, I don't know, I loved Chicago. I would go back. I would live in Chicago. It's amazing.
Because my only experience of Chicago is their airport.
Yeah, no, there's a lot more than the airport.
They actually have 2 airports, and one of them is not great. I can't remember which one, but it always seems cool outside the airport, like Chicago would be fun with music and food and stuff like that.
Oh, you and I have to go. I got to take you around. It'd be really fun.
There we go. We got to go to Chicago someday.
Go to Chicago someday. Yeah. So
what was Atlanta, Georgia like?
There were too many.
That's all she needs to say.
Well, okay. It wasn't all bad because my aunt and uncle still lived there. And so my biological dad graciously let us go and stay with them for like a weekend out of his time. And we would still get to we'd still get to see them. And that was definitely.
But what's the city like?
Oh, I mean, it's okay. It's cool. I was 8 years old. So I was
Okay.
8, 9, 10. I mean, I didn't get to, like, as an adult, like, as old as I am.
I see. You were older when you went to Chicago, so you got to experience Chicago more.
Yeah. But I feel like if I went to, either Atlanta or Chicago again, now being older, I would find so many more things where I would be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But a lot of the time as well, it was we didn't do a lot of fun things. There were too many, like, bad experiences to say, like, I could really remember the city or, the times that we spent or whatever. So that happened. And then, sorry, go ahead.
Because, I was just going to clarify something in here. Some kids really enjoy going and visiting the parent they don't primarily live with. Did you enjoy the experience or did you dread it?
We did not enjoy it. We didn't enjoy it at all, I think, because, there's a lot of, like, underlying feelings and trauma, and my biological dad, was dealing with that didn't make spending any time with him enjoyable at all. And it was very, like, I don't want to use the word abusive, but it wasn't a healthy relationship at all. And it's actually funny that Chicago was my favorite city because Chicago was where the worst relational, unhealthy times happened. And that is actually, let's circle back to the part where I was like, well,
yes.
Jesus, that was actually where it was more like, it was some night when I was there where I was alone and Shiloh had been crying and she fell asleep on my lap crying. And I was like, obviously distraught and sad and frustrated and angry. And I was like, I am so tired. I can't do this by myself. And I was like, well, Jesus, you worked for my mom, worked for all these people that I know in my life, and I'm pretty sure you worked for me. I need you to work now. And it wasn't like this, oh, the sky filled up and I could hear, Jesus' voice or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, Jesus. No.
Oh.
It was not like the angels and the cherubs. No. It was more like, it was this feeling of immense relief. And I think it's this relief and this, like, it's like if you got a big bear hug from back and you're so pent up inside and you're just feeling this hug and then everything just, I think that would be how I would like explain what it was like when I was finally like, okay, Jesus, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, blah blah blah, all the things. And then he was like, well, I'm here for you. Felt like a big hug. So I think that's really where it happened, like when I was that. So that's why I was like, it comes in later in the story, not when I was 4 years old. 4 years.
You were about this. So this point, you're in Chicago, and you're about 12, 13.
Yeah, I would have been 12, and then after that, as the story progresses, it keeps going. When I was 13, Shiloh and I decided, we were like, we don't want to do this anymore. The relationship is too unhealthy. We come home every time from these trips just crying and exhausted and frustrated, and we don't want to do this anymore. And then we told my biological dad, and he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take your mom to court. Then I met you. No, they went to court. That was really, really difficult. There was a lot of pain and crying and tears and frustration.
So you were literally like a kid and you're in court?
And you're in court?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, we were kids, and we would, we'd meet with these like counselor people that would like not interrogate us, but they would like talk to us about our relationships and how we think about things and how we mentally are feeling. And we were honest, we were two little kids who were feeling things, and we were just as honest as we could really be. And by the grace of God, the court people like saw our side of the story, and they understood, and they were like, kids really just need stability. So the court ordered that we would stay with our mom, and that our biological dad could only send cards, and if we wanted to talk to him, we could. If we didn't want to talk to him, we wouldn't. So yeah, that's that. And then that was when we moved. Around that time, we moved to a little city called Sassoon. And that was 2018, 2019. And 2019 is when I met Hannah at church. Dun, da-da. And why she was so important was because during this time while we were going through all the court and all the feelings and all the everything, and she was such a good friend, and she was just so timely in life. That's why, kind of, I always tell her I always felt like I was just leeching off of you, and I had nothing to give, and I was always like, I always had problems, and I was like always so sad, and you were just, I was like a terrible friend. And then she was like, actually,
well, I would always feel like I didn't feel like a bad leader, but I was also kind of like, okay, in our group time, I'd hear like, okay, that's going on. Like, I'd try to listen or whatever, but also, like, I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. being like, oh, Lord, help me in her court case or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, let's pray about that. I wouldn't remember to pray about it until next week when she's like, so this is happening. I'm like, let's pray about that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, like, yeah, I loved you and whatever, but my experience is like, I'm a leader, I've got 6 other girls who are telling me about their middle school life problems, and we're just like, okay, cool. Like, I try to remember them. I did have more of a connection with you because we related to a lot of different things like music and creativity and homeschooling, because at this time you had started homeschooling.
Yes, at this time I had started homeschooling. I started, what was it? So all of my middle school life was homeschooling, and my high school life has been homeschooling. And that was started in June. Yeah. So we did.
So like you'd started homeschooling, and so I had grown up homeschooling. So I feel like there were just more connections there.
Oh yeah.
You like, yeah, I feel like we could relate more on that.
Yeah. And so I was into acting and singing, and you
Yeah.
were a musician who writes her own friggin' music, which is amazing. I remember I went to you did this open mic thing at this coffee shop. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't really an open mic. There was like a concert.
Yeah, it
That
was
we
kind of like a
did.
concert. Because there were like multiple people. But you did a bunch of songs, and it was so awesome.
Yeah, I remember now your dad and you were in the back.
Yeah, I still have videos. It was awesome.
Yes.
So cool. And it was like, so we would definitely relate on that. And you came to a bunch of my plays and stuff too. And
I only came to one.
well, no. Well, yeah, but like you came to the other one too, didn't you?
I know I came to one for sure.
Okay. But I think you came to something else too that I did. Anyway, whatever.
Well, I supported you in spirit.
You did. You did.
Well, because then also I kind of like went to your house a few times, and was I like teaching Shiloh piano a few times or something?
But yeah, I think you were teaching Shiloh piano for a while. Or you were like sort of teaching her?
Yeah, I remember going over a few different times and teaching. And then I went over for dinner 1 or 2 times at least.
Yeah.
And then I started working for your dad.
You did?
Because he was the manager. Yeah, he connected me with a job that started giving me money, and I was like, aha, this is what it's like to not live paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, he was the manager for the branch that I worked for with the pharmaceutical company, organizing the documents online. So, yeah. So that was fun. We all worked from our homes.
Yes.
So he'd be on conference calls and talk about leadership.
Yeah, I do remember that. Our relationship was kind of weird then, though, because you were working for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd, like, always hear about you from him. And then, like, I was best friends with you. And so, or at least you were my best friend. And
I love that clarification. Oh, that's hilarious. The confidence that one needs to say that.
And then we kind of just, I don't know. Have you stayed in touch with many, many people from the Father's House? Because I stayed in touch with nobody but you.
The Father's House, by the way, is the name of the church that we went to. I still am connected with like 2 of the people who I did the leadership school with. Well, and I became really good friends with another one, Haley. We just kind of stopped hanging out as much. I moved, and we haven't really connected. I'm sure if I saw her, we'd be like, hey, Haley, what's up? So there's a few different people that, like, nobody that I'm like friends like I am with you, where like we talk and all this stuff. But definitely I would say like I have a few friends from that time. Definitely a lot of people I follow on social media, but nobody that like I am actually friends with like I am with you.
Well, and our, like, at least with my family, you've kind of like been adopted into my family. And like,
yeah, that's kind of the experience I had. It's like I got to know you, and then kind of your sister Shiloh more, and then get to know your dad in a different context working for him, and then I just sort of get to know your mom more because, she's also part of your family. And so that was the fun experience. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, and every time you come, it's like, oh, Hannah's here. It's like another daughter or another sister or whatever. So it's super fun. But yeah, we always, I think at least when we talk about our relationship, we always, or at least I always think like God puts us in places for seasons. And I always think he put me in the Father's house for one reason and one reason only, to meet Hannah, and that was it.
Well, and it was really a good time for you to go to that church group when you needed, support during a rough time. So it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, don't. But I will say, I started art. I started like doing art, and I started singing in 2018 2019 when I was in Sassoon. And that's really important for at least me and my story, because art and singing are really large, and that just helps me like know, okay, I started in 2018. how many years have I been doing this?
Mhm.
So it's been a long time. So it's been 6 years in art as my hobby, and 6 years of singing too. As like actually I like to do this sort of. Um, so yeah, so we moved here. I've been doing high school. I do well, my high school career has been a little weird because I did like
Her high school career, folks.
my high school career. Well, that's what I said. Well, like I've done nothing else. So
I feel like it has to be a career though if you get paid for it, but I don't know.
I get paid in education and experience.
Ooh,
That was deep right there.
yeah.
But yeah. So let's see. I did a lot of college classes, which helped with schooling and learning and stuff. Anne, are you still there?
I'm still here. I'm just looking up the definition of career.
It's an
Occupation. It's an occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress.
There we go.
Okay. I mean, I guess we can define high school as a career for you. I mean, you have invested a lot of energy and time into
And
it, like
progress.
taking the college classes. Like you're gonna graduate with a degree, a 2-year degree, right?
I'm graduating with, I think, my GED,
With your what?
my general education degree. So it's not
Okay.
necessarily a full associate's.
It's more than what I have, though. And I'm
What?
24. You have made a career out of this high school thing.
I've tried. I don't know what I'm gonna do afterwards.
And you've taken voice lessons, and
I have.
you know what's really funny is that you're like how many years younger than me?
I'm
You're
7 years.
turning
You're
18.
6 or 7
You're like
years.
You're like 6.5 years younger than me. And we're like, oh, we're such good friends, besties. Yeah, like you're the person that I talk to about everything. So age is just a number, folks.
Well, I don't know. I think you're right though about that whole age thing, because there's this one lady at our church. She's like, I don't know, 64 or 70 or whatever. She's the sweetest lady. I love her so much. I feel like I am her friend. She is my friend. We are just friends. And she's like, she's like older. She's got grandchildren.
Yeah.
But we're like this, and I love it.
Well, to kind of wrap this thing up, since you're turning 18 next week, what are some things that you're excited, looking forward to about being an adult? What are some things that maybe you're going to miss about being a kid?
Excited about being an adult. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited because it is like a next chapter. It's definitely a next step. It's not just like when you're in high school or when you're a child or when you're a kid. It's, this is the one season. This is like a brand new season. And you can either be really excited or really scared. And I feel like I'm probably a healthy mixture of both. More
Nice.
excited. More excited than scared. Most days. But I don't know. I'm really excited to learn new things about myself. I think I'm excited to figure out where I fit in life, in relationships, in what I want to do next. I want to, I think, explore my relationship with Jesus more, because the shifting from child to adult, though we think it's a big thing, he will always be constant, and that will always be like, obviously we grow with him, and he sees our growth, but for him we're always a constant, or he's always a constant. So yeah, I think that's kind of exciting, exploring more about myself, I think, is what's really exciting me, because I don't know what I like in certain areas, and I'm excited to see that. And as I grow older, certain ideas and things that I once liked will change. And I think that's kind of exciting and very cool. And I don't know, I think a lot of people don't give enough credit to what it is to eventually become older and experience not just life and figure out life, but experience you in life, because I think that's important. Who you are and figuring out who you are is important for how then you can deal with people, places, things, life, all the things. We've always talked about this, and I've always said this. I want to figure out and know pretty much who I am before I go and, I don't know, have a relationship or buy a house or do this or do that or do all these crazy things. And I think that's kind of what's.
I like that of like, this life is so we can get to know ourselves. Hold on, let me blow my nose. No, that was touching. Oh. Well, Mimi, it's been wonderful having you on. Saying that makes it sound so official.
So official.
That's funny. All right, well, I love you.
I love you too.
This was so great. Yeah, that was so great. And so now I'm going to share my little creativity thing. It's a song I wrote. It's like this. Oh, flu, you have got my vocal cords in a knot, in a scratchy little knot. I'm sure that blessed you as much as it blessed me. No, but really, how I'm going to end this is I'm going to read you a little poem I wrote. It currently doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to call it Poem Number 35. What does 35 mean? I don't know. I'm just calling it that. Here it is. There's the life you dream, and then there's the dream you're living that's so ordinary, you call it life. Well, I told you it was going to be a short poem, but you can go ahead and repeat that part if you want to take it all in again, because it's short but sweet, just like me, except I'm not really short, but I am sweet. All right, well, big hugs to you all, and peace out.